the different investors that are coming in are taking different types of risks, right? So, and therefore understanding and working backwards to say, hey, what are the 2 or 3 risks that that an investor at this stage of my business is taking, and how do I help them understand that I've de-risked some of it, right? Or how am I thinking about those risks? Because I have seen early stage founders sometimes fretting over like, how do I make my 5-year projections? I'm like, nobody cares about it. Yes, they might ask you for how you're going to spend the money, but they know as well as you do that you have no idea how you're going to spend the money, or like what's going to happen. Nobody is going to judge you on the fact that you projected that you are going to have 25 employees at the end of year 2 and you only have 12. So one is to understand like what are the big questions that they're trying to answer. And I think for us, again, some of those things we got intuitively right because of the experience that we were coming from. But I think some of those became much easier because of the Y Combinator experience. And I think the thing that is somewhat hard to execute in isolation is the fact that anything, right, whether that is a fundraise or that is M&A or that is in some cases even doing a large sales deal, is a little bit about creating some sort of a FOMO and an urgency. And I think that's kind of the thing that sometimes people don't realize. And I think even when it comes to hiring for that matter, right? Like you have to build a pipeline for you to get the best outcome, right? If you don't build a pipeline and you think like I'll do the shortest path to this, you'll not really get there with the results that you want, and the results can look very different, right? So it's like if one person says that, hey, I have this great designer and I'm going to refer this person, and you say I'm not going to run a process for it, the chances are that the designer might have been great in a different context, but you didn't know what you were hiring for, what needed to be great in your objectives function and all that, right? So the same thing applies for fundraise. If you go out there and you're like, okay, I met these 2 investors, somebody referred them and they are willing to put money, should I just go with it, right? So I think it's the same thing. The terms that you get for that fundraise might not be great, the investors themselves might not be great, etc. So, and I think the thing on trusting your intuition applies as much to investors as it does to recruiting somebody. So like if an investor is consistently showing up like 10 minutes late on a call and they're not worried about your time, right? So maybe they're not the people who are going to value you in the future.